Roger. At the start of the tournament, you said your legs felt a bit frozen, but have they fully defrosted now? Because you looked in fiery form today.
Yes. No, I felt good today. It's also been a week, and important is that those legs started moving eventually, in that first round match. Now we're 2 weeks into Wimbledon, essentially, with 1 week of matches having been played, and I think the performances start going up naturally because we know how the surface reacts, how the balls are flying, and all these things. We can play closer to the lines, and obviously today was excellent. I was very happy because I was expecting a tough match and a close one with not many chances, and it was actually quite the opposite. So that was great.
Just on that, Roger, it was a tough match on paper for sure, playing the guy who won Stuttgart and playing well on grass overall, and you had an easy match, and Djokovic and Nadal also had pretty easy, straightforward wins today. I'm curious just what that says about the sort of state of the men's game now that you guys are still getting older all the time, but these wins are coming relatively easy, it looks like, even in the second week of the tournament.
Yeah, look, you always have to look at also what the matchup is, and is it just a coincidence that it's right now the way it is. But I think it's also partially like what I mentioned before. I think the best guys now are fully engaged, and they know exactly what to expect from the court and the conditions. That helps us to play better. I think with experience, that's good. We haven't dropped much energy, in any way. It's not like we're coming in with an empty tank into this second week. So all these little things help us to then really thrive in these conditions. So I don't know what else it is. I forgot who Novak played today. Who did he play? Barry, yeah. Look, he's new to the scene there. Joao, maybe on the grass, was always going to be a long shot to beat Rafa, especially after his match against Dan. And Berrettini also was the first time this deep, so naturally we're going in as favorites into these games. So this is maybe the wrong time to look at this kind of situation.
You're incredibly fit and healthy. You're winning matches easily. But here's a guy who's out there, young guy, kind of complaining about not being able to see the ball yet. Here you're 37 years old, no problems. Is there any way at all that you sort of feel like you have to manage any aspect of your game because of your age?
Not really. I just think I have to warm up much more than I used to, which is not the most fun bit, to be honest. I liked jumping up and down for a minute, when I was 21 or 19, and now we go through this entire routines, and I'm like, really? Do we really have to do it? But I guess it helps, so I'm doing it. And when I get bored of it, either I stop playing tennis completely, or I'll stop that routine first before I start playing. But it's no, I think again, experience helps. I've played in all sorts of conditions. You look back at the French Open against Rafa, how windy it was there. I've played in dark conditions in the past here in Wimbledon or in other places. So when you're older, it doesn't really, have a huge impact on you. You're like, it's as hard this side of the court like on the other. Anyway, switching sides. So it's I think that's where maybe age helps you a little bit. But in terms of fitness-wise, obviously I take things differently nowadays than before. But exactly what it is, I think it's more in the quality than the quantity, because I gotta rest the body when I can.
Roger. Next opponent is Kei Nishikori, so this will be first matchup in Wimbledon. So I think you have an advantage on grass in here. So you have a good record here. You have many experience here. So what do you think about the next case match?
Yeah, I think it's going to be tough. Plus, he's getting into the quarters with with a lot of energy. I remember some of the slams. I don't know recently or not. He arrived into the later stages of the slams with maybe with some tough matches, going into it. So far it's been really easy for him, and I think he's ready. I'm a big fan of his game. I think he's got one of the best backhands in the game, that we have right now. He's a great return player, solid mentally, and I always thought he was a great talent. I know him since he's probably 16, 17 years old. So it's been nice to see him grow there. Yeah, I mean, I've played him on grass before, maybe never here, but I know what to expect. I think there's not going to be no surprises from either one of us. So it's definitely going to be very different than today. We'll see many more baseline rallies with some different shot making than we saw with Berrettini today.
Roger, I need your help this time because, I saw Berrettini winning tournament in Stuttgart, semi-final in Halle. Then he plays
I
you.
didn't see you in Halle, but
No, but I saw it.
you didn't travel.
I saw
You
it.
took the easy route and you took the TV in your bedroom and you're just relaxing. Okay.
Correct. Still I saw it. And
Okay.
this morning I wrote, I don't believe that Berrettini can beat Federer, but he will not lose 6-1, 6-2, 6-2. So, which is exactly the score that came out. So I'd like to know what did you
If you
do
should
to
change your job or not, is that the question? Think about it.
That's right. I'm resigning, or I'm trying to think what you told him before getting on court, because you were his idol. I mean, did you treat him and did you say something to him that he was shocked? How do you explain it, honestly? I mean,
No, I mean, honestly, I think it is, I just said hi to him walking to the court. I didn't do any games and all that stuff.
I know that he told you, thanks for the lesson.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, at the end.
Okay, well,
Anyway,
my
go ahead.
Italian's not good enough. But no, what was I going to say? I was going to say, I mean, the guy's serving on average 130 miles and second serve 105, 110 at least, and he gets 3 aces. I just think there's something not wrong, but it's just slow, and especially tonight, it is tonight. Conditions are a bit cooler, and I just felt like, it's not really going through. And if you're almost clocking 140 serves, you should be rewarded a little bit more probably. So there is definitely an issue with the speed of the balls or the speed of the courts. I think
The mental?
maybe he was nervous in the beginning, but you still hit aces, if you're serving that kind of speed and how tall he is and all that. But he didn't have his best day. I know that as well. I was dialed in. I was able to get a lot of balls back again, I think because of the conditions as well. And I think if it would have been faster, then again, we would have seen the match that I was expecting, with few chances here and there. So I was just able to maybe outmaneuver him with my slice. He couldn't hurt me enough with his forehand, which I thought was going to be tough to manage today. But everything seemed to go easier, and then eventually, how it is when you're down 2 sets to love so quickly. It's hard to figure things out. It's hard to change, and I just think the conditions also didn't allow him to do that today.
Should they resign?
Not yet. Give it another couple of days, and then we'll speak again.
Last 2 English questions, you said.
He said that in his growing war coming up, this will be a lesson which he will be helpful to him. But the frustration was very, very high. Do you remember one match which was very useful for yourself too? When you was that age, you was growing up, you was, the first matches, someone who beat you very, very hard, like you did today, which was useful for you.
Yes, so his coach congratulated me and thanked me almost. I was like, why? And he was like, it's good for him to get a lesson like this. So I was like, okay, you guys are a bit tough, but I get it, I like the Italians. You guys always are good fun, So, important is that he's not too disappointed because he's had a great run, and it's important for him to look ahead, and there's so many great moments coming ahead of it in his career. But of course, I also lost, sometimes the hard way. I remember US Open against Agassi, I guess it was also 6-1, 6-2, 6-4, I believe. And, I thought maybe I was gonna take Andre out and all that stuff, and you get smashed and you go home and you don't understand what happened, and you realize, well, I just got to work harder. It's that simple, and maybe got to have a different tactic, or I got to have a different mindset going into that. Or another day, US Open, when I played Max Mirny waited probably 10 hours at the courts, to play because it was raining all day, and they sent me out probably 11 p.m. on court 8, I believe it was, and lost in straight sets, and went to McDonald's at 2 in the morning, and just you're like, what happened, And some losses you can't explain, but important is that you, especially in those moments when you lost extremely hard and you had high expectations and you really get taken down, is that when you take a major step forward. It's okay to take a step back, but then you've got to take 2 forward, and I hope that's what he does exactly from today on.
Last English question.
Roger, when you step back and sort of look at your game, big picture, there's a bunch of things to feel real good about. The beauty of the strokes, the technique, your mental toughness, and maybe the movement and grace, and of course, your
You need to travel with me more often. You're making me feel good. Go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask you, what aspect of your game gives you the most satisfaction, or do you feel the best about?
Like in a game today, where you almost start feeling like, well, whatever you're going to do is somehow going to work out. You almost can't explain what it is. Am I reading the opponent well? Am I just feeling good on the day? I have no other thoughts than maybe the next point, enjoying the crowd support. Everything is just sort of pink. It's just happy, out there. And it just feels nice, and and then you rock up to a ball and you're like, well, I know I'm not going to miss this one, and you hit a winner, and then you do the same again and again, and that's probably one of the best feelings you can get as a tennis player on a tennis court.
Thanks very much, indeed. We'll change language now. Thank you. Questions from the Swiss press. Thank you.